Have you ever walked away from a debate or decision and thought, why didn't I think of that sooner? What if I told you that the smartest people, scientists, CEOs, even elite universities, use specific tools to think more clearly, ask sharper questions, and solve problems faster? In this video, I'll share 7 proven techniques that will literally rewire the way you think. These aren't theories. They are strategies we have refined over years of teaching and learning alongside some of the best minds in the world. If you're ready to become the most thoughtful, strategic version of yourself, stick around. Let's level up your brain. The first thing you need to do if you want to improve your critical thinking is to learn how to ask better questions. But how do you ask better questions? Well, you start by asking more questions. And when you ask more questions, you will eventually ask better questions. Why? Because by asking more questions, you're training yourself to think about a topic or an issue from different angles. You're forcing yourself to be curious and to dig deeper. And when you dig deeper, you start uncovering things you didn't know before. And then you realize how much you don't know, which means you're expanding your mind. And this is what critical thinking is all about. It's about being able to think about something from multiple angles and perspectives. It's not just about having an opinion. It's about having an informed opinion. To develop your ability to ask better questions, ask yourself 3 questions. What do I know about this topic? What don't I know about this topic? And what do I need to know about this topic? Now, to answer these questions, go out and research and read and watch and listen to as much as possible on the topic. And every time you hear or read something new, write it down. And when you have enough information, then start asking yourself, why is this true? Why do people believe this? And then keep digging until you reach the root of the belief. And this will help you to understand the topic much better. Asking better questions also involves asking the right type of questions. Here are 6 questions that you can use as a starting point. What assumptions are being made here? What evidence is there to support this claim? What are the implications of this belief? How does this relate to other things I know? And why does any of this matter? By asking these types of questions, you'll start to see the topic or issue from different angles and perspectives. This will help you to form your own opinion on the matter rather than just accepting someone else's opinion. Step number 2 is to analyze your thoughts. Once you've asked better questions and gathered more information on a topic, it's time to analyze your thoughts. This means taking a step back from the information you've consumed and thinking about it in a more critical way. One way to do this is to use a technique called thought mapping. Thought mapping is a visual way of organizing your thoughts and ideas. It can help you to see connections between different pieces of information and can help you to identify gaps in your knowledge. Start by writing down your main idea or topic in the center of a page. Then branch out from the center and write down your thoughts and ideas. Connect the ideas together with lines or arrows. Once you've completed the map, take a step back and look at it objectively. What do you notice? Are there any connections between different pieces of information? Are there any gaps in your knowledge? Now that you have a visual representation of your thoughts, you can start to analyze them more critically. Ask yourself questions like, is this thought based on facts or opinions? Is this thought logical? Is this thought fair and unbiased? By analyzing your thoughts in this way, you'll be able to identify any biases or blind spots you may have. This will help you to form a more balanced and objective opinion on the topic. Now that you've analyzed your thoughts, it's time to put them to the test. You can do this by using a technique called the Socratic Method. The Socratic Method is a technique used to test the validity of a statement or belief. It involves asking a series of questions to expose any underlying assumptions or flaws in logic. Here's how it works. Start by writing down the statement or belief that you want to test. Then ask yourself a series of questions to challenge the statement. Some examples of questions you can ask include, is this statement true in all cases? Can I think of an exception to this rule? And what would happen if this statement were false? Continue asking yourself questions until you've thoroughly challenged the statement. Once you've completed the exercise, take a step back and evaluate your results. Have you found any assumptions or flaws in logic? By using the Socratic method, you'll be able to determine whether or not the statement or belief is valid. This technique can be applied to any belief or opinion you hold, so it's a powerful tool for testing the validity of your own thinking. We often make decisions based on our emotions rather than logic, but if you want to be a critical thinker, you need to learn how to separate your emotions from your decision-making process. One way to do this is by using a technique called affective labeling. Affective labeling is the process of identifying and naming your emotions. It can help you to become more aware of your emotional state and how it's affecting your thinking. Here's how it works. When you feel an emotion, take a moment to identify and name the emotion. For example, if you feel a sense of anger, write down the word anger. If you feel sad, write down the word sad. Continue doing this for a variety of emotions. Once you've identified the emotion, ask yourself why you're feeling it. This will help you to understand the root of your emotions and how it's affecting your thinking. For example, if you're feeling angry, ask yourself why you're feeling angry. Is it because you feel like you've been treated unfairly, or is it because you're feeling stressed? By understanding the root of your emotions, you can start to control how they affect your thinking. Critical thinking requires that we remain calm and level-headed, so by learning to identify and manage your emotions, you'll be able to think more critically. When you're trying to think critically about a topic, it's important to consider all sides of the issue. This is important because it helps you to identify any biases or blind spots you may have. One way to do this is by using a technique called argument mapping. Argument mapping is a way to visually represent the structure of an argument. It can help you to identify the main claim and the evidence used to support it. Start by identifying the main claim of the argument. Then identify the premises or reasons given to support the claim. Finally, identify any assumptions that are being made. Once you've completed the map, take a step back and look at it objectively. What do you notice? Are there any weak arguments or fallacies? Are there any assumptions that need to be challenged? By using argument mapping, you'll be able to see the structure of an argument and identify any flaws in reasoning. This technique can be applied to any argument you encounter, whether it's in a book, an article, or a conversation. So it's a valuable tool for critical thinking. It's important to stay up to date on current events so that you can be informed on issues that are being debated. This will help you to form an opinion on the issue and engage in meaningful conversations. One way to stay up to date on current events is to read a newspaper. Reading a newspaper is a great way to get caught up on current events. It's important to read a variety of sources so that you can get different perspectives on the same story. When reading a newspaper, pay attention to the headlines and the language used. This will help you to identify the main points of the article. Once you've read the article, ask yourself what the main takeaways are. What are the implications of this story? How does it relate to other things that are happening in the world? By reading newspapers regularly, you'll be able to stay up to date on current events and form an informed opinion on issues that are being debated. In today's world, it's important to be able to think critically in order to make sense of the constant flow of information. By using the 7 steps we've outlined in this video, you can train yourself to think more critically. Remember that becoming a critical thinker takes practice, but the benefits are worth it. Critical thinking is an essential skill in today's world. It allows us to analyze information, form opinions, and make decisions in a logical and rational manner. By following the 7 steps we've outlined in this video, you can improve your critical thinking skills and become a more effective problem solver. And that's a wrap on your 7 go-to tools for supercharging your critical thinking. Now it's your turn to pick one, dive in, and watch your ideas sharpen like never before. If you found value here, do yourself a favor. Smash that like button. It tells YouTube to share this video with more future thinkers just like you. Hit subscribe and ring the bell. Every week, we drop fresh strategies to boost your brain power, and you won't want to miss a single one. Drop a comment below telling me which tool you're most excited to try, or the secret weapon you already swear by.